Hi Tech family, welcome to the part 19 of Solidity programming language course. So in this video, we are gonna learn the visibility modifiers in Solidity programming language. So basically, we have four types of visibility modifiers in Solidity programming language that are public, private, internal and external. And we are gonna learn them one by one in this video. So first, let's move to the public slide. It has 4 steps in place, and I think you maybe know this public modifier better than me because in this whole course the most used modifier is that public, but we will still learn it just for those people who are new to this video. The first step is we can use it everywhere. What it means? Simply it covers these 3 steps also inside the contract, deriving contract and also the other contract. First we will see the second step inside the contract, how we can use this public modifier with a function inside the contract. For that we have to move to the Remix IDE. In the first step all the things are in their place and we got a function here named public function, public, and that's the pair function because it's not gonna make any changes in the state variables and we don't have a state variables in place. Its return type is string memory and it's returning public. So first let's press Ctrl S to compile and deploy this contract. Check it. When I press this, we got the public value and that's working fine. Now we will see how we can call this public function inside the contract. So for that I will create a string variable that will be public. Its name will be, let's say, pub equal to public function and put parentheses in here. Press Ctrl S. We are all set and let's move to, and okay, we are already in the deploy and run transaction. Let's close this one, deploy another one, and when I check it, we got the pub and the public and they both gonna have the same answer, public and the public. That's how we use this public function inside the contract or the public modifier inside the contract. So that was our first step. And the second step is deriving contract. So what does it mean? It means if you know the concept of object oriented programming, you may be familiar with that. There is a concept of inheritance in the object oriented programming. Like in the other programming languages, we simply inherit one class with another class, but in case of Solidity we don't have any classes but the contracts. So we will inherit the second contract from this first contract. So let's see how we can do it in the Solidity programming language. We will create another contract and its name will be second. To inherit it, there is a keyword in Solidity. We have to put it is and then the name of our contract, initial contract, and then now it's inherited from this initial contract. So nothing have to do in here. Press Ctrl S and close this contract, deploy. Oh, we don't have to deploy this, but you can see in here you have to select this second contract and then again have to deploy and check the fourth instance. We again got the pub and the public function just because we have simply inherit the second contract from this initial contract, and then we got these two functions because when we inherit it, all the properties of this first contract will be inside the second contract. Just because of that inheritance, when we check it, we got the same value like previous, and that was the meaning of that deriving contract, like the inherited contracts, we can say that. And then the next is other contract. So now what it means? It means not the deriving contract, like we don't have to inherit it anymore and close this. We simply have to do is create an object for that. If you know the object oriented programming of any other programming languages, you maybe definitely know this concept of creating object of the classes, but this time you're going to create the object of the contract. So to create the object we have to put the initial contract because we are going to create the object for that class or that contract. Sorry about that, it's contract, not the class. And we will put its name, let's say I equal to new initial contract, put parentheses, semicolon, and we got the object. Now we have to use it. After that I will create a variable string that will be public. Let's say s1 equal to or not s1 but call equal to, because we are calling the function, so that's why I put the name call equal to I dot public function, put again parenthesis, semicolon, and like this we can call the functions of the other contract in this separate contract. So now when I press Ctrl S, it does not throw any error. So when I close this and deploy this second contract, you can see here, and check this fifth instance, we got the call. When I press it, we got the public value, this public value, just like this. So that's why I wrote in the first we can use it everywhere. That was our public visibility. And the second visibility we have in the Solidity programming language, private, the private visibility. So let's see the first step. We only can use it inside the contract where it's placed. What it means, neither derived or not the other contracts. Okay, let's see what it means. Again, move to our Remix IDE. Okay, let's convert this public into private, and this will be a paper. Okay, and also let's change the name of this function, public, and also change this text and this one. Okay, first let's comment it out because we are going to check this inside the contract first. And when I press Ctrl S, and we are all set, just because we are calling the private function inside the contract. So as I said in here, we only can use it inside the contract where it's placed, and it's placed inside the contract and we are calling it, and that's great. When I press Ctrl S, and okay, let's close this all contracts to make it more clear to you. Inside the contract, when I deploy it and call it pub, okay, and we got the private value. Just like this, we can call it inside the function because that's private. And let's also check, we can call it in the separate contract or the other contract. We have to call this private function, and that's correct. When I press Ctrl S, it throws an error just because, as I said, we cannot call the private function in the separate or the other contracts. When I check this error, let's see, private function not found or the visible after argument dependent lookup in the contract. It's simply saying we cannot call the private function in the other contracts. Okay, let's also see how we cannot call the private function inside the derived contract. So let's inherit this second contract with the first contract is initial contract and try to call it. Let's uncomment this line and remove this I. Again, when I press Ctrl S, we got the undeclared identifier error, and we also cannot call the private function inside the deriving contracts or the contract inherited from this first contract. And that was for the private. And the next modifier we have is internal. So let's see what it says. We can use it inside the contract. Okay, we can use it inside the contract, also deriving contract. Okay, when we inherit the second contract from the first contract, we also can use it inside this. But the third step is not inside the other contracts, where you cannot call the function with the internal visibility or the modifier in the other contracts. So let's prove it. Move to the Remix IDE and change this private to internal, and also change these names. Comment this out. First we will check this internal modifier inside the contract. Can we call it inside the contract or not? When you press Ctrl S and go to deploy and run transaction, delete this one, deploy, and check this first instance, and that's correct. We can call it. We got the internal string. And let's also check it for the deriving contracts. Let's uncomment this and also change the name of this function, internal function. Press Ctrl S. It didn't throw any error just because we can call the function with the internal modifier in the deriving contracts. So it didn't throw any error. Close this one. And now I have to deploy this second contract. Deploy. Inside this you will see two functions, pub and the call, just because this pub is just because of we have inherited and we got this also inside this second contract. And The call is also here. When I press this call, we got the internal. When I press this pub, we got the internal value. So like this, we can call the function with the internal modifier inside the deriving contracts. So let's also check it for the other contracts. I have to comment this for now and remove this. Now it's second contract. Now I have to uncomment these two lines, and there will be I dot internal function. Let me show you again. Not in the other contracts. We cannot call the function with the internal modifier in the other contracts. Okay, let's check it. When I press Ctrl S, oh, we got an error. Just because I told you we cannot do this with the internal modifier. Okay, that was our internal modifier, and the next last is external modifier. Let's also check its steps: deriving contract, other contracts, but not inside the contract. What does it mean? It will be clear to you in a while. Let's move to the Remix IDE and change these internal to external, and also change these names and comment this out for now, because first we will check inside the contract. When I press Ctrl S, we got an error. The third step is confirmed, if you see, but not inside the contract. And now we will also see these two steps just for the confirmation, and let's comment this out because this will throw an error and it will not let us to know about also these two steps. So let's comment this and uncomment this. First we will check the other contract. So let's change its name, copy this and paste it here. When I press Ctrl S and it's correct, we can call the external function in the other contract. So when I check and close these, deploy the second contract, you can see we have deployed the second contract. Check this instance. When I press this call, we got the external value from this function. And now let's also check it for the deriving contract. So we have to put is initial contract, and that's it. Press Ctrl S and that's good. When I go to the deploy and run transactions, close this, deploy another one, you can see we got the external function and the call function. When you press this call, we got the external value again, and when I press this external function, that function, and we got the external value. And that's in the second contract, just because we have do inheritance in here. And that was some important visibilities you have to know about this when you want to become a blockchain developer and want to learn Solidity programming language. I hope I have cleared your confusions about these visibility modifiers. And next, nothing to say. So if you found this video helpful, hit a thumb on a like button and leave a comment if something is not clear to you. For now, goodbye, and I will see you in the next video.